Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Athlete to Athlete podcast. Thank you so much for joining today. We have another special episode. Fun fact, this episode isn't going to be uploaded for a little bit, but I have recorded 3 podcasts over the span of 3 days. This is a record for me. I'm on a kick. I'm really trying to be more consistent here. And also, I just have some fun guests lined up, and that is including today's guest. It is with Maddie Castleberry. We have been mutuals on socials for a couple years now. She was in the ACC with me. She has since graduated, but she was a track and field athlete at the University of Louisville, and she is currently the social media coordinator at Tracktown USA, which, if you are a track and field athlete, you know that is in Eugene, Oregon. It is the heart of track and field, and she does all the social media work over there, which is such a cool job. And that's really what we're going to talk with her about today, her athletic journey and how she got that position and what that has been like over there. So we are going to hop on the Zoom here in a little bit and hear from her. Hey, Maddie, how are you?
Hi, how are you, Mackenzie?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I have literally been waiting for this moment, and I'm just so excited that I can talk about all my favorite things with you. So I cannot wait. And there's so much to unpack, I fear.
Yes, there definitely is. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for coming on. So, the first thing that I start by asking everyone is just to give like a little timeline of your career in sport, like when you started up until like your collegiate career ended.
So I started running track when I was in eighth grade. I was involved in gymnastics pretty much my whole life before then. So in my middle school, you could like leave early if you did like an extracurricular activity for a certain amount of hours. And of course, with gymnastics, like we were there all the time. So it just worked out perfectly. But then I saw my friends going to athletics, which was like basketball, track, like all the just, sports you play in eighth grade. And I was like, wait, I literally want to do that. So I decided to like just do it all. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do gymnastics and I'm going to try basketball and cross country. So basically, I started out with basketball and that was kind of like my main thing, even though like I'm literally 5'4" and I don't even like I'm just aggressive. So I just literally would get like kicked out of the games like in eighth grade. And they were like, okay, Maddie, I think you should pick up running on the cross country team. Mind you, I was on C team basketball, which is basically like all the girlies who like don't make the A and B team. So they were very generous at our school. And then they were like, "Oh, you should start doing cross country because we think it would help you with your basketball more, blah, blah, blah." But then I ended up being on A team cross country and doing really well and seeing success and, like doing good as a little eighth grader. You're like, "Oh, I want to do this more." So I made the jump um my freshman year of high school to like quit all other sports and just solely focus on running. And so I at the time I had just moved to a new high school in San Antonio. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. I come from a broken home and my dad was living in Germany most of my life. He works in the military. So when you move back to Texas, I really wanted to live with him. And so I started a new school. I quit all my other sports and I was like, you know what? We're going all in on track and cross country. So I just started honing in on that. And he took me to my first track meet at UTSA, which is UT San Antonio. And I saw the girls running and I was like, wait, I can do this. Like, I was like, I could do this in college because basically my freshman year, I was just kind of dilly dallying around. I liked running. I didn't know if I could do anything with it, but once I saw that and I saw like, oh, I could do that. Like I was watching girlies run a 5K and I was like, wait, I could do this in college. So kind of that moment, I decided like, wow, I really, really want to run in college. So that just became my overall goal. I will say throughout high school, I was just a mess. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anything. I was training myself into the ground. I literally said, see ya to all my teammates. I'm going to go ham on my runs every day, which, like, if anybody knows, like, distance running, like, you should not be doing that. So, um, I just started going ham. And then I really started seeing a lot of success so fast because once you start, you're so young and you start running, it's like, the more mileage you add and the small things you can do, like, and that goes for anybody starting their running journey, they probably see a lot of success just in a lot of different areas just because it's so new and you've never really trained like that before. But what comes with that is injuries because I was not properly eating and I was not taking care of myself. Like I would literally go to practice in the morning with my team and then after school I would just go home and run as hard as I could 3 miles. Like I do not recommend that to anybody. I just wanted to be good and I wanted to go places. I was like, I don't care what I have to do. And the thing I loved the most about running was that I felt like the world was endless. Like the possibilities were just endless. Like once I started and you start seeing those small things of success, whether it's a PR, practice going well, running with your teammates. I remember my coaches were literally my friend. It was my friend's mom. And so she came to practice one day and she saw what I was doing. And so she started going ham with me. And then she invited me to go to a long run with her and her mom and a couple of other of our teammates on a Sunday. And I was like, because mind you, in high school, you're not really running every day, like that young, like especially at our like age and level, like we weren't going like crazy 7 days a week like you do in college yet. So, and like, whenever you get older in high school. So she started inviting me out to long runs at this beautiful road in San Antonio, super hilly, and just like do it. Like that was the first time I ever really endured a long run longer than like 4 or 5 miles. Like we were going ham. That's all I can say is we were just two girlies and we just wanted to be good and we didn't know what we were doing, but we were having fun. So like anytime I would see her and her mom, I'd literally go up to her and be like, thank you so much for like helping me. Like having a coach that emphasized fun in high school, like my freshman and sophomore year was a huge foundation for me, just like the rest of my career, because I was already super hard on myself. So I didn't need the excess
Yeah,
pushing of like somebody else like making me do something. So because I was like already going to do it like myself. So basically after that, so being in a broken home, there was a lot of just trauma going on in my life, just to be so real. And like with my stepmom, like I was basically told I would never run it. Like she would tell me horrible things, like I would never run in college. She made him stop coming to a lot of my meets, and just like there's so much to unpack with that, but just like very traumatic things that like I don't wish upon any one at that age. And so it pretty much became running just became everything to me. It was my way out. It was my way to, if you want to go, like my dad was in the military. That's his only way he got to college. My mom didn't go to college. So this was like, okay, if you want to do this, like you got to do it. So I ended up moving back to Dallas my junior and senior year, where I came into like a very developed high school program. And I moved back in with my mom and mentally just like felt so much better. Like, but those things people tell you that you can't do, like always stick with you. Like being told like I would never run in college, like it's just one of those things that I was so motivated by, and I was like, I will, and I will prove you wrong. And like something like that drive, like when people tell me like I can't do something, it's really just like stuck with me to this day. Like if someone tells me I can't do something, I'm like, okay, watch me. Like I'll go and do it. So it was sad, and like it was just one of those things that like I wish I could have just told my little self like it's all gonna work out, girl. Just you wait. But by the time I was a junior and senior, I was still training pretty hard on like all my runs. So that started to pick up with me a lot. And as well as just like practicing still, mind you, like unhealthy eating habits. Finally, my junior year, everything caught up to me. I got 2 stress fractures in my fifth metatarsal and my left tibia. So that was my junior year. And I finally, like I would have these like races and I'd go and run and then boom, I'm out for 6 weeks. So it's like it was just a constant thing of me missing seasons and trying to get times out. And by the time you're a junior, like most kids are already committed these days to school. So senior year is rolling around and I'm like, I want to run in college still. And I don't have a lot of times to prove it, but I have a work ethic. And I emailed hundreds of schools every single day. I was like, I will literally walk onto your team. You don't have to pay me a dime. Because I know my high school times don't compare to like probably the rest of the countries. Um, so ironically enough, one day I got an email from Steve Magnus, who was my first coach I was recruited by at the University of Houston. And I didn't think it was real. So I got it in like October and I was like, there's no way this man like is actually wanting like it's just like the constant rejection and no's and people telling you like, oh, you have to run this time, which like if the coach is telling you you need to run a certain time to be on their team, like I think that's weird. I understand having standards, but like Steve saw the bigger picture. For those of you who don't know who Steve Magnus is, he is a author and former distance coach. He also was a great collegiate athlete, and he also helped crack the case for Alberto Salazar. So he is the whistleblower for that case, saving running, and he's written so many books, and honestly just laid a wonderful foundation for me my first 3 years of college before he stopped coaching. But he recruited me, and it's insane how much his impact left on my entire life. Like what I learned from that man, and like a lot of coaches say like when they're recruiting you, like, oh yeah, we want to make you better humans, we want to make you, better athlete, better human, blah blah. Steve meant it. Steve saw my times. I ran a 19:45 5K. I ran like a 5:30 mile. No business running Division 1. He saw my work ethic, and he saw something in me, and he gave me a chance, and am forever grateful for that. And I said, okay, like I will do whatever it takes to be good. So I then took my official visit to the University of Houston over spring break my senior year, after some really horrible unofficial visits to like some other schools where I was basically told I'd be another number and I wouldn't really make an impact, which making an impact is like the most important thing for me. So then I got recruited and I took one visit, and the next morning I was like, Steve, I'm coming. Like I'm coming to this school, and I'm still so proud to be like that's my alma mater, like, and that I was coached by Steve Magnus. I don't think he even reached his like full potential coaching, just because it's a cruel world. It was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, and it was my only way out. So I walked on to the University of Houston, and that was the start of my collegiate career.
That's really cool. Having that relationship with your coach and having someone that believes in you can make like the biggest difference, especially when there's people that are telling you that it's not going to work out. Having that as a coach is so important. And I'm glad that you had that at Houston. So you ended up transferring to Louisville. Was that for grad school then? Like you had already graduated from Houston?
Yes. So my senior year of college, so I had a great experience at Houston. I went from basically being like our eighth, seventh girl to working my way up to be, at the time, one of the best in the American Conference. So, and on my team as well. And I did it because like I was just surrounded by great women and great people to push me, great friends who I still love and care about to this day. And a great coach too. Freshman, sophomore year were still pretty rough for me, like figuring it out. Like, just like I had walking pneumonia my sophomore year, and that really took a turn on my health. And this was like all before COVID, because COVID hit my sophomore year. So that's where a lot of my eligibility got back. But during COVID, I took like a 2 week break once March hit, and I heard we weren't like, everything was canceled. So took a huge break, didn't run, like just 2 weeks off completely. And then from like that day during COVID, because I stayed in my college apartment in Houston, I didn't go back home or anything. I was just with my teammates. I just decided, like we all did. It was me and a couple other girls. We decided we were going to start grinding now. Like it was like we're going to start small because we didn't know when we'd be back. And so we just had a huge base, just like from like like April to like the next year, like my junior year, like when we were allowed back on campus, they took away the indoor conference from us as well as cross conference. They moved to January or February. And so that fall, we just basically, our coach created a system of like races and time trials, and it was really fun. It was like a whole point system. So even in those dark times when we couldn't compete, like he was still trying to find us ways to help us push ourselves, push our boundaries. Then my junior year is when I started to see more success, and I started traveling. Like I got to go to Drake Relays for the first time. I also didn't make my conference team for indoor my freshman year, and that crushed me so much to a point where I was like, all right, I'm never missing a conference meet again. So that was also one of those things that just like kept driving me. And I just needed to prove to like myself, like, you can do this and you deserve to be here. So I just kept pushing and pushing, and I started to finally see the success that I was seeking for so long. Obviously, not on a grand national scale or anything, but to a Maddie and like little Maddie, like I know like she'd be so proud because this is something I shouldn't have been good at, but it just came about because I wanted it so badly. And that's like the beautiful thing about running is like if you want it, like you can get it. Like there will be boundaries and there will be like barriers you have to break, but like and longevity and patience is key for these things. And I just think like if there is something you want, the world is yours. Understanding things don't happen overnight. Like it took me like 8 years to see like to get down to like a 5 flat mile. Like it took me forever to see. I almost broke 17 my 5th year at Louisville, and it's like it's just crazy that it's like all of these barriers didn't happen until it's like the very very end for me. So, and that doesn't even show like my success that I saw didn't even doesn't even highlight like all the things that I've been through in my life, and with that, just like battling like eating disorders, battling mental health issues, like family trauma, like none of that showed like in my performances to people like from the outside, but I knew internally. And that's all really like, especially being a walk on, like is so hard seeing other people who are on money and not even like put on a jersey still compete because like most of these schools, like once they see you're a walk on, you can pay for your school yourself. Like they just say like, all right, they're fine. That like a lot of schools will be like, all right, like we'll pay you, blah blah blah. But just know that like that's not true. Like that's not true for all schools too, because some schools will increase your scholarship based on times and performance, but for a lot of schools that's just not honestly the case. And I feel like that's something that needs to be talked about more because that's what a lot of people are promised. And I know so many stories of that. My senior year, I got a call. It was like June going into my senior year, so like summertime, really early, and Steve was like, "Hey, I need us to hop on a call like with our whole team," and he told us he was leaving, which I literally was on a run and I stopped and I just started bawling because it's one of those things where he just wanted to focus on his writing career. And if you don't like, if anyone goes and like, everyone should follow him on Twitter and Instagram. He's always putting out really good information backed up with like lots of research. So it's not just like someone spitting into the world with false information, but we got a new coach. Just to be quite frank, he was not anywhere close to Steve Magnus's level. He really just did not level up against what the University of Houston deserved, and especially being amongst coaches like Leroy Burrell, Carl Lewis, like not what. And I honestly just me and a few of my teammates filed a Title IX report against him,
Oh, wow.
and he got fired the next year. So, and a lot of people were pissed at us for it, but he said a lot of horrible, horrible things that could be very triggering to anybody with eating issues, racism, like you name it, just very much things that like were not okay. And so a lot of people were actually really pissed at us for doing this because like especially like the men on our team were just not like they were like, why would you do this? Like and I'm like, this isn't okay. Like women should not be treated like this. And I think that's one of like, like that was one of the biggest lessons I learned from Steve. Like if you feel like something's wrong, like speak up and say something. Like
Mhm.
people don't understand, like even in the big world now, like even after college, like people don't want you to speak up about things. People want you to comply, like do what you're told. But if you feel like something's wrong, you should always speak up and say something. Like I remember one day I just was like, I was in a Chipotle with my bestie and I said, I'm entering the transfer portal. I'm not doing this. I'm not happy. I don't like running right now. I don't like going to practice. Like after a whole year of like And during that, I ran cross and indoor my senior year. And then once I decided I was going in the portal, outdoor, I was like, I'm not competing under this guy anymore. I'm fine. I was also like suffering from like I think it was an Achilles issue or a IT band issue, and a lot of pre-race anxiety. And the time I took off just from that season, I never experienced like pre-race anxiety like that ever again. Like I would go to meets and like not sleep for like the night before. I'd sleep for like 2 hours or three just because I was so incredibly nervous because I'm not fully blaming like the coach or anything for putting like so much pressure on me, but like because like it's definitely like self-hindered as well. But like when you have a different outside source also doing it to you, that's when it's like, okay, like I'm gonna go insane. And it's like almost like a reflection of it becomes a reflection of him rather than like us. Like it's just an insecure coach trying to justify like, why are you making a 21-year-old feel this bad? But I and that's when we're all in charge of our own happiness. And I would tell this to anyone, like, if you speak up, and if you want to do something about it, like do something about it. So I spoke up, I left, and I really didn't want to leave. I loved Houston. I loved that team. It really wasn't the same after Steve left. And I just, I really wanted to take a chance on myself and I wanted to see like what, fifth year, like I had a full year of eligibility to use, and plus an outdoor season since I got all of COVID back as well as that outdoor season that I redshirted. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going to pack my bags and see where the wind will take me. So I put my name in the transfer portal. And ironically enough, the first school to reach out to me was the University of Louisville. And I'm also a big believer in the universe. So that's why I like, yes, we can reach out and like put ourselves in positions, but like the right people will want you and like they'll make it known. So I took a visit and I was just coming from a school like the University of Houston that's like now it's a Power Five school, but at the time it was like a kind of like in that they called it Power Six, I think, or Power Four. I don't remember, but just like a smaller school. Like it's a school in the city. Like the city's not really revolved around us, where it's like the school is revolved around the city. So it was really cool going to Louisville's campus and just seeing the emphasis they put on athletics there. I was immediately drawn to on the phone with one of the coaches, our first conversation. His name is Andrew Carlson. He coaches at Bradley now. He's a king. He was like, he heard my dog's barking because I have a sweet little angel right here who's been with me since I was 19. She's a queen. Her name's Bailey. But he heard her barking in the background and was like, Maddie, I don't know where this conversation is going to go, but like you need to send me a picture of those dogs. And like hearing that from a coach who's literally recruiting you, it was just one of those things that was like, I want to have fun my senior year. I want to have fun, like, or my fifth year. I was like, I want to have fun in grad school. I want to enjoy running. I had the best, honestly, great fifth year. I was welcomed in with open arms. I loved the training. I immediately, like, just because of I'm taking off that outdoor season, gave me a lot of time to rest, train, learn and just like grow as an individual. I set up for a lot of success with those coaches. And we had a huge coaching change after my fifth year. And I did decide to stay my sixth year because Maddie didn't want to enter the real world yet. She needed, and honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do. All of college, I was a kinesiology my literal undergrad is in kinesiology. So I wanted to be a PT. So this is to anybody who's like scared if they don't know what they want to do. I'm telling you, it's literally okay because I didn't know until I was 23 and I finally was like, I saw like a ad pop up during like spring break of my fifth year at Louisville. And it was like, oh, like apply for the Louisville Athletics internship program. And I was like, I've always loved social media. I've always I've been posting for years online. Like, it was one of those things that I was like, okay, like, why don't I just apply? They have a really great program at Louisville, especially if you want to get into like sports, because I was already like I changed my major to sports administration for my graduate degree. So I was kind of already on that path. I just still didn't know what I wanted to do. So of course I put social media as my first option. And then I think I put like broadcast and like marketing as my other two, but I got the position as a social intern. So my 6th year at Louisville, I was technically like working for the university and as well as like still training with our new coaching staff. And so like just a lot of changes going on. Like I will say like the unwavering support from the Louisville athletics staff, like on not even like coaches wise, just like the calm side, like the amount of people like behind that is just awesome. Like they really do care about their student athletes like at the University of Louisville, and just seeing the amount of efforts that go into like that athletic department, like they do really care, and it's a small team with not a lot of money, but they make it work, and I'm forever grateful to be a part of that because I did learn so much in my internship, and just it was amazing. But I was really struggling with like while my training was going well, I just wasn't adapting well with the coaching staff. I just didn't feel very cared for, just to be quite frank. I just felt like if I wasn't a national caliber athlete, like I meant nothing. And unfortunately, like that's the reality of like a lot of coaches that come from these like higher, like known, well-known schools who might be successful in the NCAA. They just simply don't care if you're not number one. And that's just like goes against everything I was taught, like from Steve. And I was like, I'm working my ass off. Like I'm doing everything right. Like like I was doing everything you could. And it's just like, I still like didn't feel appreciated. And so almost really overlooked, and just a lot of political things that like should have never happened. Like running should not be political. It's like black and white. You either run the times, you don't, you run fast, you don't. It's really that simple. It was just a really hard experience to go through, like trying to be a favorite and just seeing what he was doing to like our younger crowd just was kind of, I just did not really want to be a part of it anymore. I thought about quitting. I didn't want to keep running at all. Like, and I loved it so much. And I was seeing so much success under his training too. It's just like mentally, I was so done, and I felt alone because like, it's just like, oh, there she goes again, like complaining. But it's like, I just know what's right and I know what's wrong. And I had to stand up for that. So I just, one day stumbled upon my job search my senior year, and I saw Tracktown USA pop up on Teamworks Online, and I didn't think anything of it. I was like, I'm just going to apply. And I literally texted my best friend at the time and said, if I get this job, I will forego all of my outdoor season and literally leave and go move to Eugene and work in Tracktown USA. And crazy enough, that's just kind of what happened. So
That's crazy. I guess I didn't even register like that you did. So you didn't take that last outdoor.
no, I competed. I competed at 2 meets, and me and my coach at the time basically came to an agreement that because I did go to him because I was on scholarship at the University of Louisville, and so like while we had differences, I still respect him as a coach, and I just know the coaching style like that isn't for me. Like that just like competitive edge. Like I love camaraderie. I love teammates. I love if my teammate passes me in a race, I'm clapping for her. Like I don't get mad like that. I'm very celebratory. Like if someone's beating me, that is awesome. Please do. Like I want you to win. Like I just not like, and that's the way, like that's just what I believe in. Like if I'm going to uplift myself, like I want to uplift everyone around me. A lot of like our morals just didn't align, but I did go to him and I told him about my opportunity once I like found out I got my job with Tracktown USA. And I was like, this is, this is my dream. I was like, I know I'm on scholarship and I know I have a whole outdoor season, but I was like, quite frankly, like I I'm just kind of like in this weird spot where I don't really know what to do. And so he's like, you can run a race, and if you want to stop, you can stop, and if you want to keep going, you can keep going. He even offered like to help fly me from Eugene to ACCs if I really wanted to make it that far, which I did not. But I so that was really cool of him to do. But I ran a really great 1500. I opened up my season and I PR'd. It was awesome. It was like honestly such an insane feeling just because I hadn't raced like that whole year, and just coming out off the bat, and I got out of a really toxic relationship at the time, and I was just like full blown to the wind. I was ready to go, and it was awesome. And then I ran at Brian Clay and everything. I was like, oh, I'm good. I don't want to run anymore. I ran a really horrible race, and I was like, I am okay with my career. Like I've done so many things. I feel like I've done it all, even though I know I haven't. And like, while I always tell myself like I always told myself like my time would come. And like, while I never saw the success that I wanted, like on the track, like my time did come because now I live at Hayward Field every summer where literally NCAAs is, where I dreamed of going my whole life. Like I used to watch the movie Steve Prefontaine growing up and romanticize Tracktown USA. And it's so weird that like this is my home. And I actually just celebrated my 1 year with Tracktown on March 1st.
I love
So
that. Yes,
um
congratulations.
oh my gosh, thank you. And yeah, I love it. I was welcomed here with just like open arms, and I've gotten a lot more comfortable with posting my job online, and like I have so many like young girls reaching out to me like, how'd you do this? How'd you do this? And I'm like, oh gosh, I gotta figure this out too, guys, because listen, it's just such a rare position to be in. Like I didn't even know I could work in track and field. I was trying to work in every other sport possible, and of course all roads led to here. So
Oh my gosh, I love your mindset with all of that, and then also just like kind of the everything happens for a reason and universe, everything with that, ending up going to Louisville and I mean dealing with all those coaching changes, all of that, but then recognizing when that kind of chapter you were ready to close it and take on like that new opportunity. That's so cool, and I'm so happy that that happened for you. Can you like describe to everyone kind of like what your job is exactly?
yes. So I'm the social media coordinator for Tracktown USA. I also run all of our channels we host one of the Diamond League circuits that comes through um, America is in Eugene, Oregon. So we also host the Prefontaine Classic. So we also run all of those channels as well. We have Specifically, I run 9 platforms. So we have an Instagram for both the Tracktown USA and Pre Classic, both Facebooks, so 2 TikTok accounts, 2 X's, Twitters, whatever you want to call them. And then we have our beloved YouTube channel where we have a series called Road to Tracktown, where we follow 4 elite athletes through their journey and heading to Tracktown USA. So Road to Tracktown, where, I think a lot of people get the misconception that like basically like there's the Olympic trials. So I did get to work the Olympic trials last year, which was a dream come true. And uh basically most of those USA national, which is still a USA national meet, like USA is like they're still happening like every year. Of course, there's more eyeballs like on us whenever it's like the Olympic trials. But basically, my job, I help create, plan, strategize, distribute content, whether it to be a phone. We have 2 amazing videographers on staff. We have a girlie on web and email, and then we have our chief of content, Karen Ramming, who I'm forever grateful. Just she has taken me under her wing, and she used to work for Pac-12 Network, she worked in the NBA under the Warriors, and she's just really pushed me to my full potential. Working in social is hard, especially when you're surrounded by photographers, videographers who have these big fancy cameras, and everyone wants to get their name and content out there. But the reality is, phone captured content is for me is elite. Like everyone,
Mhm.
like that is like something so slept on. Like I just I've learned so much. And so like last year, like I kind of went into a lot of these events, like kind of like, kind of like small and baby, like, oh, I'm just a social girly. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like the growth I can already see like in myself, like you just got to put yourself out there and be confident and be strong and know that like you are important. Like social is one of the hardest jobs, and people will probably like fight me on that. Like, oh, it's just posting. It is so much more. Like you're like I embody these accounts. Like those accounts are me. So like for our pre-classic channels, like I call her like our baddie. She's like our baddie channel. Like we're channeling our baddie energy. Like we know we're her. Whereas like our Tracktown USA is everyone's bestie. So like we're rooting for everyone. Everyone is welcome. We're all besties here. Where like the pre-classic like kind of has this like mysterious allure. Like I try to channel like I get a lot of inspiration for like the copies I write from like we are sponsored by Nike, so I do like to mimic a lot of their branding and just like that like just that bad energy. Like I just like I feel like it aligns so well with our voice on brands. So like pre-classic in 2023 was literally rated like the highest scoring like single day meet or something, some statistic. Like we literally are the world's best meet. So and I carry that with like my full heart, and my passion before was running and everything was that, and now it's running and content creation. So it's like it's
Yeah.
just you learn so much, and this job is like, it's hard, but it's so rewarding. Like,
Mhm.
and we're a really small team. We're such a small team, literally 5 people. So, like on our digital team. So, and then probably about 25 overall for our whole company.
That's so cool. I love that kind of dream came like happened for you and that you made it to Hayward and it's like maybe in a different way than you
Yeah.
originally wanted, but like I mean, I honestly like it just like a really cool way. The universe is funny in that way. What do you think, what is like your favorite part of your job?
Probably my favorite part of the job is like our live events. So basically, I think a lot of people like are like, oh, what is like Tracktown USA? So basically, Tracktown USA is Eugene, Oregon, aka where the University of Oregon is, and any premier track and field event that goes through Hayward Field, which is the, as Phil Knight likes to call it, which who sponsors our we're a nonprofit, so he is the person literally pouring all the money into it. So King, he calls it the lighthouse of track and field, and I take that to heart because I'm like, it is a beautiful venue and it deserves to be showed off to the world in the best way possible. So probably my favorite job is the events we host. Like while normally I am in the content lounge, like capturing content with like the athletes that come through after they go through traditional media, um, I still like like I remember during the Olympic trials, like I had to sneak away to go watch Nikki Hiltz run their 1500-meter final. They were one of the athletes that we followed throughout their season last year, and I absolutely love everything they stand for, and just like really about like being authentic, being yourself, and just like watching them in that stadium and like coming around the last lap, like, and just seeing all the hopes and dreams like of these athletes. Like I literally have chills just thinking about it. Like so many dreams come true at Hayward. Like my dreams have come true at Hayward. Like athletes' dreams come true at Hayward. One of my favorite meets was also Nike Outdoor Nationals. I kind of was on high school track just because I had just not the best experience. So I was like, man, like I just didn't know what to think going into these high school meets. But these high schoolers, they are just ecstatic. Like the emotion and just like how happy they are. Like it, I have just learned like so much. And I like, when you're in college, you're like, everyone's like, oh, high school track's dead. Get over it. It's like nobody cares what you did in high school. Like, cool, whatever. Like, and so that's just kind of the mindset I had like coming into my job. And then I was like, some of my favorite memories and like best pieces of content are from like Nike Outdoor Nationals, like U20, U20s was hosted during that time too. And just so many like beautiful moments I've got to witness of people just just lifelong dreams coming true and just showing themselves like they can do anything that they dream of. Like, and I just think like like Hayward Field, like it does have magic to it. Like it is a magical place. It is just wonderful. So definitely like all the premier track and field events that we host and are definitely like my favorite. Like event season, I just cannot wait like to finally be like living at Hayward again. Like
Mhm.
it's been a weird off season because this is my first like off season with Tracktown, and like a lot of times like I've gone in my boss's office and I'd be like, I don't know what to do, Karen. I'm going crazy, and she's like, I think you just need event season to come back, and I'm like, you're so right because we're just grinders. So I just like I constantly like I'm like, oh, what's next? Like, what do I want to do now? Like, and so but yeah, just those events are awesome. And I can't, the way that track is growing, like, I'm very excited and curious to see like how it pans out because a lot of people love on like the travel here and like getting to Hayward and getting to Eugene, which I do like express my condolences to because like I understand like I understand how it can be difficult, especially for someone coming all the way from like Florida and like, just like it can be a difficult travel, just like, it's a smaller city, but like the history that's here, like there is no one, no meat, nothing that can top like this community, this place. It's everything. Like it is the track and field haven. Like every place of this place, like any part of the city you go to, there's something like I've just never seen something so obsessed with my favorite sport, and that's
Mm.
why I just think like people love to complain, and like I know the price gouging sucks, like but like it is the like there's no one's putting on a meet like us, and like especially at Hayward Field. So I'm a bit biased too, but
Yeah, I love that all for you so much. I like just getting to be in the sport that you fell in love with, like as a career, and being in the space, like in the spot where track is the biggest thing. Like that's just so cool to constantly be surrounded by that. I've been to Hayward once, my senior year of high school, and it was the most magical thing. Like it's the coolest, it's such a cool place. And especially now, like you were saying, with the growth that we're seeing in track, like it's really cool that you kind of get to be a part of that with the work that you're doing and just being in that space all the time. So that's super cool. I love all of this for you, and I hopefully I will return, and then I'll be able to see you then there again. But
girl, I better see you there. I keep telling people, I'm like, you better make nationals. I'm telling
yes,
all my old friends too. I'm like, you better make nationals because I want to see you at NCAAs this year. So,
yes. Oh my
um,
God. I love it so much. Wow. Well, kind of pivoting a little bit. So, running is still a big part of your life, aside from just your job. One, living in Oregon, like, I mean, this is such a beautiful place to be running. Like you're still just loving Oregon in general. But you've done some cool things so far. Like, you are now a Nike running ambassador, and you had
yes,
like your first, was it your first like track race since college this past weekend?
it actually like okay. So I did a so usually after an event season, I think this year they might be during like because last year they were after the Olympic trials, but Hayward puts on these or OTC, which is Oregon Track Club. They sometimes host these like fun little they call it the all comer meets. So I didn't run pretty much all summer. I honestly was like I ran, but not like so. Whenever I'm fully running, like I'm think fully training to me is like 50, 60 miles a week. Like I'm doing workouts, lifting, like that's the whole shazam. Like I was just running whenever I could. If it was 3 miles that day, great. If it was five, great. But some days it was just wasn't in the cards because like event season, like that's like my pinnacle, and like I'm trying to change that this year with like everything going on. So I did run like a little 1500 after the event season ended at one of those smaller meets, just for fun, just to see where I was at, and like post college, like la la la. But it wasn't like anything crazy. So this past weekend though, me and my coworker, so her name's Annie Boos. She ran at Syracuse and Cal Berkeley. She's a queen, and she is one of the most resilient people I have ever met. And she's a dog. Like she was just on a work trip for literally over a month, traveling, going to shooting at different meets for. She's one of our videographers at Tracktown, which I'm so lucky enough to have a coworker and a bestie, like
Mm.
who's also ran in college, like is unreal. So I basically texted her and I was like, do you want to do this with me? Like I was like, I'm, training for a half marathon right now. I was like, maybe it'll be nice to see where we're at. This girl goes out and busts out a 5 minute mile, like a
No.
queen. I was like, girly. Like I was unfortunately like a little sick last week, and like honestly just mentally have not like this past winter have been in like such a weird spot mentally, just like turning 25 is just weird. Like just to be so
Yeah.
frank, like
My cousin
you
just
know
turned 25 and she was telling me, she was like, it's weird.
it's especially being like from coming from like college athletics where like there's so much simulation. Like, okay, I've lived in a house with five girls. If I'm sad or like, I'm like, oh, my friends are downstairs. I can go hang out with them. Or like, oh, I can text one of my friends who lives down the street and be like, hey, do you want to like go get coffee? Work at a coffee shop. Like now it's that's not what life is. There's so like it's just like relearn like learning so many like just like things you were taught and like how your life was before it will change and like adapting to that phase and like surrounding yourself. Like luckily I do have a squad here and luckily I I do work with all of them, which is kind of funny too. So it's um like finding that I feel just lucky that I get to call like my coworkers friends like outside of work too. That like I can tell them things like when I'm struggling and when I need them on or off the workplace. Like it's just I'm so thankful to have like a close squad here and just like friends. So I know that's not the case for like a lot of people who go post grad and like they can't find anything. So I was feeling like very fortunate that I was just welcomed by my team with like such open arms. Like my boss the first week here invited me to a tequila 10K challenge where you had to take a shot of tequila after every mile and I was like I've never done anything like this before, but say less. So I just really put myself out there when I got here. Anything I was invited to from my coworkers, I tried to go. So and even during the event season, like, we're not like we go out and celebrate after our meets. Like that's like what we do. Like I don't know if you've ever seen the memes about like the wild duck, like after the Olympic trials and whatnot, but basically it's like this bar and like all the athletes go to it. Like all the media people go, like, so everyone is just there and it's just so funny. Like I saw like Allie Wilson, Tara Davis Woodall, just like, you know, around in their uniform and their medals. A lot of people ask me like, how did you become a Nike running ambassador? And to be quite frank, I have no idea. I got a DM one day and it was from a girlie and she was basically like, hi, like Nike's looking for running ambassadors and like like someone had sent in your name, which I now know is he's a creative director at University of Oregon, which we work very closely with. His name's Anderson Bobo. I guess like someone had reached out to him asking like if there was any content creators like in Eugene, and he recommended my name. So shout out Bobo, you're a king. Because I would not be in this lovely position. Because I'm not gonna lie, like this summer was not feeling running anymore, especially after like what I had just been through. Like kind of just like it left an icky taste in my mouth. Like just like leaving and being like, man, like that sucks. Like I just put in all this work. Like I was doing like 9, 10 mile tempos. Like, just I didn't get to see like what I could have even closely done. And so I'm very big on like changing perspectives. Like, yes, let yourself be upset, let yourself learn, but then like how can we change this perspective? And I just basically came to the conclusion that like, running's my saving grace. Like running is the thing that makes me feel confident. It's the thing that makes me feel full. And like you need those things. My boss also recommended that I get like hobbies outside of being chronically online. So that also like is very helpful. Like training, like you physically like I have to get off, like I have to detach. I have to like, like I can't be on my phone. Like so, and that's like one of the hardest things working in social is like you want to consume it all. You don't want to miss a beat. You want to be on every single thing, like you just want to be in everything. And it is a really competitive space, like because it's so slim. Like like that's why like I do feel so bad. Like a lot of people ask me about like how I got my job, and it's like I wish there was more positions like mine out there. But with Grand Slam track coming out and like just more and more racing opportunities, like I think the sport is growing to a point where my job like will exist more across the board. Like it won't be this like niche thing. Like it can be like people everywhere can like make it a goal to work in track and field rather than just like a dream. Like it can be like, oh wait, I want to apply for this and work for them. So yeah, so I got that DM and I literally thought it was fake. And so of course I like went to my boss and was like, hey, like have this really cool opportunity. Do you think like it would interfere like with anything we're doing? And she was like, gave me the green light, and she's very supportive of like any like freelance opportunities we get to like do social or like our videographers. If they have opportunities, like my friend Annie, she literally shot Paris Olympics this summer with NBC. So like our boss is really pro like building our own personal brand and professional like life and on top of like still working with Tracktown. So I'm a Nike running ambassador. I got my contract from them and I was like, okay, so this is legit. It's not fake. But yeah, it was just like, and that too just was like my sign. I took that as a sign from the universe because I was kind of like in this weird place where I was like, I don't know like what I want to do with running. I don't know if I want to train. I don't know if I want to just be a girly who runs and does yoga or like, just and for me like training for something is so fulfilling. It brings me so much joy challenging myself like and I need that honestly at outside of work. Like now that work will always like yes, my work doesn't feel like work at times, but work will always be work. There's financial issues you have to address. Like there's just real life things that come with work. And so it's nice to have these like personal running goals like now that it like there's no strings attached, there's nothing like I don't have a scholarship on the line, I don't have anything like it's my free play. Like it's like one of those things that I was like okay, like I kind of just like lost a lot of like just didn't do it a lot and just started putting emphasis on consistency and going outside doing it, moving my body, like just living overall like the lifestyle I want to live. And now it's just like routine. And now I'm like, wait, like, and so once I became a Nike running ambassador, it just gave me another sign like I need to keep training. Like it's always like low key, like I've always told myself like I want to get the marathon OTQ just to say I did it and then like just literally stop running after that or like keep running. I don't know. But like that's what I told all my teammates when I was in college. I was like, yeah, guys, I'm going to keep running until I get that OTQ in the marathon and then I'm out. So I don't know, like, and to me, like I don't even know what my end goal is. I'm just happy. Like I'm just like content and I am just excited to see where it takes me. Nike running has provided me with so many resources. They've given me shoes, which are very expensive. Like running is an expensive sport. People like to make it seem like it's not, but it is, especially when it comes to shoes and like spikes, trainers, everything. I literally don't own a single pair of running leggings that weren't given to me from a school or Nike running. So like I definitely take all these things in and I treasure them forever and I'm very like just grateful. Like for a while I was like, I don't know why these things keep happening to me. Like I was just like, it is insane. I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm like, thank you. Like, I was just like getting scared because I was like, what's bad about to happen? Like, I basically just review content. I do like unboxing hauls. We're kind of transitioning into a phase where we all just announced that we're, running the Nike LA After Dark Tour, which is in June. This will be and I'm actually like training for this half marathon. So like, I want to race it and like run hard because it's like, I want to be the best one, obviously. So
competitive.
So I was like, okay, like I'm gonna train for this and make sure I am the best one. So, which like that's just like that competitive edge in me. And like if someone actually, if I don't win, it's like whatever. But like I am curious to see just like to push myself again. Like, this past weekend was a really good like indicator of like where I was at, like wise, like just like within, like, just getting like running a mile, like that can't tell you a lot, but it can tell you kind of like where you're at and just honestly busting the rust and getting yourself out there again. Like that was the most fun part. Just like I got to put my race day makeup on, put on my press on nails. Like it was just, I just miss the feminization of our sport so much. Like I was like, oh, I love this.
That's so fun getting back into everything and once again taking that sign from the universe of continuing to go with running. That's so great.
Yes, like anytime I tried to stop and I would tell my boyfriend, I'd be like, dude, I'm so done with this. Like I'm not like I don't want to do this anymore. And then not even like a week later, like I was like fully like, oh yeah, I'm becoming a Nike running ambassador, so I think I'm gonna start running again. So I like truly training and it is life changing. Like I can't even put into words like what running has done for me and what it could do for so many people out there, no matter what age, where you're at. Like it's such a rewarding sport and it's like all the content I make is to show people like if you want something, like follow your heart and do it. Like I kind of feel like I lost track a while, like for a while with like TikTok being deleted. Like it kind of made me sit down and think like, what am I doing? Like why do I make content? Like why do I want to put my name out there? And My overall goal is to just leave a positive impact like on the sport and hopefully shape how it should be portrayed in the media. Like I just want people to be inspired to be themselves, follow their dreams, do what they're passionate about. Don't be afraid to be that girl who's like passionate and like there's a lot of people who want you to not care and just like blah 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 and like sometimes not caring is great and like it that nonchalant like do whatever's best for you, but like for those people who are passionate, like those are like I see you and I'm like I get it and like don't let people's like I think I saw this quote what it say. It was like don't let other people's like suppressed imagination like suppress yours or something along the lines of that. Like it was just like the world's endless and the opportunities are endless and I just like I want people to believe in themselves and take the chance on themselves like even if there are people telling them you can't do it like that's why like Nike's new campaign with the whole like you can't win so win like a lot of people just it didn't hit for them because media literacy is a real thing and people just like don't comprehend things but I was like as a woman who's been told oh you'll never work in track and field. I'm working in track and field and I'm doing it and it's awesome. It's like you'll never compete in college and it's like, okay, watch me. Like it's just one of those things as a woman, like I feel like we experience on a daily basis, like you can't do this. And it's like we can. It's like the world is just changing and I am so excited to see like, I spent so many of my years in college fighting for my life, writing essays about how the WNBA has so much potential and how like women's sports have so much potential and now like seeing it come to life is crazy. Like I'm literally truly living a dream and I love that I don't even have to like push on like so much to it like to people anymore. Like I don't have to like fight for my life. I'm like everyone's just kind of riding this line and then as a society while we've made great bounds, there is still so much to be done and I cannot wait for us to see what indoor like what is there left for us like the glass like the ceiling is glass like there's the opportunities are truly endless.
I love that so much. That's a solid way to end. That's like all the questions that I have for you. Thank you so much for coming on. Can you tell people where they can follow you and check out all the
Oh
content that you're posting?
yes, okay, so if you want to keep up with my personal content everything is at Maddie Castleberry, so MADDYCASTLEBERRY Castleberry, just how it sounds. And if you want to keep up with anything related to Tracktown USA or pre-classic, you can follow us on anything. Same thing. It'll be at Tracktown USA or at pre-classic. And we are on basically every single platform, you name it, as well as myself. So I don't use Twitter or Facebook, but I'm most active on Instagram and TikTok. So those are the places you can find the most of me. Yeah, well, we have a lovely event season starting up this month. We literally have our first outdoor meet in like less than 20 days. So the
Hmm.
outdoor season is here and I can't wait to see you there. So
Yes.
pending.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. I'm so excited. Let's hope. Period. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.